Hello and welcome to the third executive edition of the BTW Beginner to Winner PvP podcast. I'm your host, MatthewBraeker, and today is Friday, March 18th, 2022. I am here joined by somebody that I have wanted to interview for a long time. I have listened to his voice on the GoCast podcast in the PvP corner with his co-host DeFi250. He is possibly one of the funniest people on the BTW Discord and always asks us ridiculous questions that the guys have to answer. I am joined by the one and only FishOnAHeater. How are you doing today?
I'm great. It's fairly early in the morning not fairly early for me. It's 10 a.m. But it's our state election today, so I'm hoping this interview doesn't go for 6 hours. But,
what does
if we're shorter than that, we're good.
Yeah, what does your state election entail? Because I know in the States, we have several different tiers to it. We have you can vote for your city council, and then it could go up to your governor, or then the presidencies once every 4 years. How big is this?
Yeah, we have our prime minister. We don't have presidents yet because we're still living under the Queen of England.
Okay.
So we have the prime ministerial elections once every 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the state election, which I believe is once every 3 years as well. And then local government, which that one is the only one that's not mandatory. The other two are.
Okay. So do you have a set time when voting hours are closed?
Yes, but I don't exactly know when that is. So well, I'm just gonna turn up to a booth and hope.
Sure. So we'll do our best to let you get on with your day here.
I mean, we should be fine. Yeah, surely.
Besides to the stuff that you have to do today, how's your week been so far?
It's been super stressful in a really, really good way.
Okay.
So I am currently... so I'm a huge fan of the game of Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
And I managed to get myself into... It's called an ORG, which I believe stands for Online Reality Game. It's basically a fan-run version of the game of Survivor.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Have you ever watched the show?
I have. So I was doing physical therapy for a wrist injury this year, and the people that were doing the physical therapy were obsessed with Survivor, and they would always have it on in the background. So I must admit, I know very little of the show, but I was absolutely captivated and highly entertained while I'm getting, my wrist worked on for about an hour a day. So that was, so I could see the appeal, but I must admit, I don't know anything about the lore or history. So when did you get into Survivor?
So I was one of the tens and tens of millions of people who watched the original couple of seasons. Okay. Survivor had a similar trajectory as Pokemon Go did, where when it first came out, every person on the planet was watching it or knew about it or was talking about it. And then there was just a steep decline. And then literally just as many people ask, is that show still on, as who say, is that game still on for Pokemon Go?
You're like, yes, and it's very popular. So
yeah. 10 million people a week.
Yep, and there's podcasts dedicated to just Survivor and everything. I'm assuming you listen to to those.
I do.
All right.
Yeah. So we've gone through. I've been to 4 tribal councils now, and every single time it's been very stressful trying to get the vote the way I wanted to. I was actually for our last vote was absolutely going to be the one voted off, and then I saved myself with a fake immunity idol play.
Okay. Okay.
Which to anyone, if anyone watches the show, they're going like, "What?" Because like that's a very hard thing to pull off, especially in an online format.
Right.
Anyway, continue.
No, that was fine. That actually like kind of leads me like right in line with like my first question. So besides like anything Pokemon related, or I guess now Survivor related, what are your other hobbies that you like doing?
So I like to joke that I am the president of a club called FIPS, which is people heavily into poker, Pokemon, and Survivor.
Okay.
So those are my three things.
Okay.
So Survivor, Pokemon Go specifically, and poker is the other one.
Okay. What is poker? Poker. Okay.
Yeah.
What
yeah.
Game in poker are you playing?
And Texas Hold'em.
Okay. You don't branch out into like any of like 5-card draw, stud, Raz, Omaha, anything like that? No. Okay. So Texas Hold'em. Have you
Yeah, that's my game.
ventured into the online world of Texas Hold'em?
Absolutely.
Oh, really? Okay. Where do you play?
Which is a big deal because a few years ago, online poker was actually banned in Australia.
It was the same in the US. Yeah.
That's
for
right.
taxes.
Yeah, Black Friday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Poker Stars?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. But I think there are some states that are like slowly bringing it back there.
It is.
Is that right?
I believe so. I know in Michigan where I'm from, it is legal now. I guess they figured out how the U.S. is going to get their cut of the money, But
yeah,
I know that it killed poker in the U.S. Yeah. So, and now I have to change one of my truth or lie questions. So I'll have to figure that out through the duration of the show, but that's totally fine. What I was gonna say, one of my truths that was on my question was I paid for college playing online poker during my classes.
Oh, snap.
So it is.
Wait, was that the truth or the lie?
No, that was the truth.
Wow.
Yeah, so it wasn't
great.
university. It was like community college. So, but it's still like several $1,000s, and books were the most expensive thing. So, but okay, we're getting sidetracked. This is not a poker poker podcast, but I would love to talk to you off show more about it. So I want to get a little deeper, get to know you a little more.
Sure.
So if you don't mind sharing with me, is there a moment in your life that has made like the most impact on it, and help shape who you are today?
Which is super deep to go into,
right?
For the first question.
Yeah, super deep. Well, I started with the hobbies, and then it got
yeah, no, that's true. That's true. All right, so fair enough. Taken back. Withdraw that. Okay, so the first thing that actually comes to mind is not exactly a specific moment, but my childhood in general was pretty rough. Not in the way that like when you hear someone say my childhood was rough, normally you think of like poverty and abuse, but it's luckily I didn't have to deal with that. It was more just like materialistically we were in a very good position. I came from a very well-off household.
Okay.
It was just a lot of fighting. We did not get on particularly well, and there were certain conflicts within my family that we were not particularly good at working through. So because of that, I came out of that childhood, I feel, with a very good sense of empathy. It helped me to develop a kind of the muscle of being able to really understand where another person is coming from, and be able to put myself in their shoes, understand like how they must be responding to to things that I might have done, or how what might be behind their actions. Like, often someone will say that they're angry with something, but then the issue is actually something deeper than that. So I think having to go through a whole bunch of that turmoil during my childhood, I think, has helped me to develop that ability to, I guess, connect in that way.
You are absolutely right. That was a way deep question to ask so early on in the interview. I do appreciate the honesty with that. I will definitely ask a much lighter question now than that. But coming from the United States, I have a very like limited view about like what Australian culture is outside of what I see on television. How would you describe what Australian culture is to somebody like me who's never been there?
Well, I personally love it here, and I am so thankful that I was born in this country. Didn't have a choice in the matter, so I'm glad I won the lottery there. It's really safe here, I feel. People people are I think a lot friendlier than I get the sense that it is in America a lot of the time. It's like with COVID stuff here, people have been bitching a lot about like restrictions and lockdowns and stuff, but they do what they're told. Like we don't have like I've seen on the news like riots in America and stuff like that. Like that definitely hasn't been happening here, and I'm very thankful to be in a society like that.
Yeah, so
crime's pretty low, unemployment's pretty low. Yeah, that's really sorry. Yeah,
no, I'm fascinated by that, because I know that COVID definitely like changed everything on a global scale, like how we live our lives, how we communicate with people. What was your experience like in the beginning of COVID? How did you like get through sort of like those initial couple months, and now we're on, almost year 3?
Well, for me, I've been practicing for isolation my whole life, so it was fine for me. Like I just another day.
Sure.
Work was affected a fair bit because I work in the entertainment industry. In a few different ways. So, like, I run poker games and I host pub trivia nights. I do some private MC work. A lot of those things were affected, so work did struggle. But I'm like, it still didn't affect me too badly because I also didn't have a lot of expenses to take care of. So, like, even though I was making a very, very low income, and still am making a very, very low income, it's still fine. I'm still covering what I need to cover.
Sure, and that's the important thing there for it. What were the governmental like restrictions like in Australia? Because I know for us, like, we went on lockdown for like solid lockdown for probably 2.5 months, and then other parts of the country were like opening stuff up slowly but surely. What was it like in Australia?
First, may I ask what does solid lockdown mean?
Solid lockdown meant so, like, only essential workers. Essential workers meaning like hospitals, police officers, nurses, people that work at grocery stores were the only ones allowed to work. Anybody non-essential, a lot of factories, everybody got laid off. We're essentially stay at home.
And were you allowed to leave the house like once a week for groceries or something?
We were allowed to leave the house for groceries. There's some parts of the country that wouldn't allow you to go out in parks, but for the go out on a walk, but for the majority of, at least like where I live, like we were encouraged to go out on walks. We weren't like locked in our house. We could go to the grocery store. We could do that. We just had, like everybody wear a mask, etc.
Okay, yeah. Which sounds really tough. To do with.
It was tough. I not to get, political, but it's like I feel like everybody initially was more they were more inclined to follow the rules than they are now, the longer that this has gone on.
Okay, sure. My GoCast co-host DeFi used to send me a lot of articles about how her own state of Wisconsin was turning every kind of COVID issue into a political battle.
Unfortunately, that is true. Yeah.
Which sucks so much.
More severe, less severe, in terms of like lockdowns or restrictions in Australia?
For my state, much less severe.
Okay.
Again, super lucky. Like I feel so lucky being where I am,
right?
Because, South Australia, where I am, was over COVID very quickly for a while. Like we had no cases for a long time. And so I remember doing like a live stream outside in like our CBD one time for a community day, and like I had the camera on and was showing people like crowding around a street performer, and a bunch of people were like, "Where are their masks?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I mean we don't have to wear them at the moment. There's no cases.
Right.
COVID's not here. It did come back." And right now we are with this latest strain. I don't know what letter of the Greek alphabet they're up to now, but they like this particular strain is very, very contagious, and we are now getting about 3,000 cases a day.
Okay.
Which probably doesn't sound like a lot to an American. It's a fair amount in our city. It's like 1.3 million people in our city.
Okay.
So because we've got a very high vaccination rate as well, the numbers of hospitalizations have gone down.
Okay.
Which means that they're not the authorities aren't being too strict on the restrictions they put in place. They don't necessarily mind if people catch COVID. They just don't want people hospitalized by COVID, which I think is perfectly fair.
Right. No, I agree. So with the lockdowns and stuff that you experienced, did that affect any like special holidays or festivals that are unique to Australia?
Did it affect any? I'm sure it has. I don't necessarily remember off the top of my head. I know I actually caught it on New Year.
Okay.
I got my official diagnosis on New Year's Eve, so I know my plans were cancelled for that.
Oh no.
But as far as like the whole state, I don't think I can remember any particular holiday or festival off the top of my head that was affected.
All right, so I'll start moving this into the main meat of the topic that I wanted to talk to you about. But I wanted to, before we transition to that, my last question about like Australia in general is based on the question that you posed in our BTW Discord, which we've now actually, because of that question, turned into a segment on the show that we're tentatively calling the discussion piece. But you made a very compelling argument about like fast move, sneaking, and denial in relation to like the internet speed and connectivity of where you live. So I guess my question to you is like, what is the broadband experience like in Australia?
Just quickly, I never actually got around to thanking Wildcat and Dinho for the way they handled that message, because like I was super thankful for the way they went through each individual statement within the larger piece and addressed each one individually, and yeah, it was very thank you guys for that. And yeah, like their points were all very compelling as well, and yeah, very very good response I felt. The internet speed in Australia is, I actually looked this up recently, we are ranked 58th in the world.
Okay.
Which is one spot above Vietnam and 2 spots below Trinidad and Tobago.
Where
we are so bad.
Where's the United States on this?
You're like 13th.
That is a huge difference in bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
What is your
what
is your speed? Your internet speed?
You know what? I didn't read the exact speed, but it's like I think maybe yours was in like the triple figures megabits per second, and ours was like into the low double digits.
Wow. That's an insane difference. So you're absolutely right. That would definitely be a major factor with the way that the game mechanic itself is set up. And does that ever, I guess when you wrote that, did you write that question from like you just finished like sets and just were so steaming mad that you ended up like just like writing this entire novel, or has this been a question that was just like on your mind that you wanted to actually make the point?
Just quickly, I did just bring it up on on another browser here. So the US is on average 203 megabits per second.
Yes.
And Australia is at, 82.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, megabits per second. So, yeah, what was the question again? Sorry, it was, was it just a low moment for me? Maybe.
I'm wondering, what was the origin story of that post?
Of that. It's just something that I've had to deal with for a long, long time. And so when, with all respect, like when Dinho mentioned on the podcast, like, oh yeah, but by now it's a skill. Like it's the top battlers in the world know how to exploit it. I'm like, well, sure, if you're in the US.
Right.
But like, no matter how good I am, like it's literally impossible for me.
Right.
To be able to do that, no matter how good I am, no matter how much time I put into learning, it's actually physically impossible for me to be able to do it. So why should it be considered a skill if it's literally only some people can do it?
Right. No, and again, like I really thank you for that question. It has definitely sparked a very like interesting new segment on the podcast that I feel has a lot of potential to it.
Awesome.
So again, like thank you for unconsciously creating a new part of the show. So kudos to you.
And thank you guys as well.
Yeah. With your obsession with Survivor. Sorry. Your obsession with Survivor.
I do like surviving.
Yes. Pokemon Go. Your GoCast recordings.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage your time between like your personal life, your work life, and then your involvement with the Pogo community and gameplay?
I once heard I was watching a TED Talk.
Okay.
And the person there speaking brought up a really, really good point that that I've kind of been able to apply to a lot of different situations, which was she told the story about someone in her office who is insanely busy. Like, you can never get a free moment with her. She's always got something happening. So and she had a situation where she was getting ready for work that morning and a pipe burst in her basement. And so she had to wait around her house for 6 hours while, you know, the plumber came and fixed it all up, and, you know, they cleaned up all the mess that was in the basement. And the point that she was making was this super, super busy person somehow managed to find 6 hours to attend to this emergency. And that's because when someone says they don't have time for something, if they want to, they can make time. Like, they'll always have time for whatever they want to do. I don't have time is code for it's not a priority for me. So how that relates to my situation is that because I enjoy this stuff and I find a lot of importance in it, it makes it very, very easy to find the time to do it.
I am just, for one, I think that's a phenomenal answer. And then the second thing I'm left with is wondering how many times I have said I don't have the time for exactly that reason of it's not a priority.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense. And I'm ashamed to say, like, I've probably done that quite often when it's just like, you know,
same here.
Yeah, it's I think it's a flaw in humans, but I think it's great that, like, you know, have recognized that, and that is like a philosophy that you use in your life. I really do.
Thank you.
What was your first experience then with Pokemon?
As a franchise?
As a franchise, yes.
I saw my friend playing Pokemon Yellow version in primary school.
Okay.
We call it primary school here. What do you, grade school? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, probably grade school. First grade through 5th grade. If that.
Okay, sure. So
like
we
5 years old to
from
10 years old.
Right. So we're close. We're primary school from 5 to 12.
Okay.
And then it's high school from 13 to 17.
Okay.
Do you have middle school
yeah,
as well?
we separated it out.
Heard,
so we have like grade school, middle school, and then so middle school is like your 10 to 13, 14.
Okay.
Cool. Probably 13, 14. I am so detached from that side 15 years later.
It was a while ago.
It was a while ago, yeah.
So I was in primary school.
Okay.
I saw a friend playing it. I must have, begged my parents to get me a copy. My cousins that I spent a lot of time with, they got a copy of it as well. So I guess that would have convinced my parents that this was appropriate to get me. So they got me the yellow version for, it was either Christmas or a birthday one year, and I turned it on and spent the first day or two, I forget how long it was exactly, trying to work out how to get out of my house.
Mm-hmm.
Because the door is just, you probably remember, the door is just a rectangle, like it's like the rug, the welcome mat or something. And I couldn't figure it out, so I was just like clicking A on everything I could see. Like, where's the door? And from there I got here.
Oh my goodness! So that was your first introduction to Pokemon. When did you start playing Pokemon Go? Was it on day one?
It was.
Okay.
Yep.
How have you played it? All the way through, or have you taken breaks throughout?
I was a returner.
Okay.
So eventually I stopped bothering about getting my catch streaks. This was before raiding, but like back when the game was just bare bones. Like I think they maybe had just started with Gen. No, they couldn't have just started with Gen 3. Otherwise, I'd be more interested. So they were probably still on Gen 2 at that stage, and then eventually, this was probably like September, October 2018.
Okay.
A friend of mine who had been playing the whole way through said, "Oh, you should come back. There's so much more in the game now." And sure enough, there was. And so I came back and was interested in it again. I believe I would have dropped off again very quickly if PvP hadn't come out in January of that year or December of that year.
Right. That definitely was the thing that when I heard that they introduced PvP, that's what brought me back into the game. I remember grinding through, from day one all the way to about half of the year after Johto had dropped, and just been like, there is nothing to do in this game anymore except catch damn Chikoritas and like Cyniquils and like all this stuff. But do you have a favorite memory of playing Pokemon Go? Maybe from the introduction or when you came back into the game that stands out like in your mind?
You know what? My favorite memories involving Pokemon Go have not been with the gameplay.
Okay.
My favorite memories have been like on the content creator side. So things like my Twitch channel was picked to reveal one of the Sylph Arena Cups one month. There was the Nightfall Cup.
Okay.
Back in Season 3, I believe. And that was a really, really great moment. That all went off without really a hitch. And yeah, just like the whole Sylph world was watching at that time. Things like our most recent Gym Breakers stream, having, having over 100 people on stream without having been raided was a huge deal. And that particular semi-final, I don't know if you know much about the Gym Breakers competition, but it was basically a semi-final between two countries in Spain and Japan, and it came down to a tiebreaker at the end. So it was a huge, exciting, finish, and yeah, it was really, really fun being able to put that on. So things like that, they're my favorite memories.
The experiential aspect instead of the actual gameplay for it. I would definitely agree with that. That my memories are not, or my favorite memories are less about like, oh, I beat so and so in a battle, or I caught this Pokemon, versus like, I remember who I was with, where I was, and the day that like a wild Aerodactyl showed up, and the experience of like being with my partner while like in finding that's what I remember. I don't even like, I honestly don't know if I caught the Pokemon or not, but I just remember like the excitement that we both shared with that, and then the amount of time that we had spent just like walking together, in our downtown area, playing together, was something that was very special to me versus just like the individual grind time. So how did you get into the Pokemon Go like influencer sphere? Was it intentional? Was it by accident? How did you stumble into this?
I've always been someone who revels in, I don't exactly know what it is, just entertaining people, people paying attention to me. I don't know what it is exactly, but I was always like looking for attention in primary school. I've always wanted to, like, the first job that I ever wanted when I grew up was an actor.
Okay.
So I guess I've always wanted to be in content in some capacity, and there's been different versions of that as I've grown up. Like, I had a podcast for a while. I did stand-up comedy for a bit.
Okay.
What else have I done? I wrote a couple of blogs, like, the old-fashioned 90s personal blog.
Yeah, sure.
Just, different. Yeah, it's kind of manifested itself in different ways. And then when COVID hit and so many Pokemon Go battlers were spending that downtime being locked in their homes, deciding to go to Twitch and stream from there, I was one of those people that was convinced to try that. And that is currently where my creative juices are flowing.
That's awesome. How did you then become a part of the GoCast podcast? How did the PvP corner come about?
It's incredible because
congrats on over 1 year.
Thank you so much, man. It's insane. Like, we both keep, like, when DeFi and I start, like, call each other to record, we're both just like, how are we still a thing? This is still going. Like, and so it started just so nonchalantly.
Okay.
If that makes sense. It probably doesn't make sense. Let me explain. So I was active in the GoCast community, and so was DeFi. And we both used to watch. For a while, they were doing live streams every Thursday. And so we'd be in their streams and in their chat every Thursday watching them play through, like, the main series Pokemon games. And PvP was mentioned by someone, a chat member or one of them. And I said, DeFi and I should come on and have, like, a regular PvP segment. And Chris was like, yeah, that's a really cool idea. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's what a funny idea, huh? Like, imagine if he just gave us a PvP segment, right. And then he's just like, he's starting to get specific with his plans. And I'm like, wait, is this happening? And so, like, before our first recording, I had to message him multiple times to say, like, just checking, like, this is still something you want us to do?
Right.
And he's like, yeah, absolutely, man. And, like, it turned out to be such a good move for him and his brand because, like, he keeps showing us reviews that are left on, like, Apple and now Spotify, saying things like, the hosts are great and PvP Corner is great as well. Or, like, they've even got a PvP segment for people struggling there. And I've heard other podcasters talking about, like, fuck, I wish I'd thought of that first.
Right, right. What's the creative process like behind the formation of each segment that you and DeFi do? Do you two collaborate together on it? Is it one person comes up with, like, the bulk of the information, or how's that work?
So on Sunday US time, DeFi starts tagging me relentlessly to get me to decide on what we're going to talk about that week.
Okay.
And usually when I see it, I'm like, oh, I'm dealing with something else now. I'll think of it later. Right. Eventually, she bugs me enough times that I'm like, okay, let me focus on this. Then she will write the majority of the show notes. We will record on. Right now, it's a Wednesday night. I don't even know off the top of my head.
You're fine.
Right now it's changed a bunch. But right now it's Wednesday night US time.
Okay.
We will record and then I'll do the editing.
Okay. And then I'm assuming you submit that recording to
Chris.
To Chris. Okay.
Yeah.
And then have you guys always kept that schedule of, like, the Sunday night recording, or has
it's kind of varied and adapted as our schedules have changed?
Okay, I got you. Well, again, congratulations on over a year, and I always enjoy listening to those segments when they come up. I think my favorite part about it is the whatever clever like tag you have at the beginning, like
The quip.
the quip at the beginning. I
Yeah.
always just tune in just to see like what they're gonna say for that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
So the reason why I really wanted to interview you is because I have been fascinated with this Discord that you in this community that you created called PalletTownPvP. We've mentioned and promoted PalletTownPvP on the show a lot, and I don't think you've had a fair opportunity to talk about it and promote it and sort of explain what it is exactly to the people. So I have a couple questions here, and I'd love to give you an opportunity to do a deep dive on everything PalletTownPvP, where you have the prestigious title of being the mayor of. So I thought that was great. But what when did the idea of creating PalletTownPvP first come to you?
I had actually dealt with a bit of toxicity in another community that I'd been in, and really, the first kernel of the idea of the community came out of wanting to build a space where that couldn't happen. And then there were other factors that went into it, such as there was so much talk at the time from like top battlers and content creators about how like the push to make it an esport and to be able to like maybe this game could get to a place where eventually people are able to make an actual reasonable income off of it. I felt like it was going to take a very, very, very long time for the game itself and for the Pokemon Company and for Niantic to get the game into a place where that was possible. So I figured we should probably try and create our own opportunities for that. And so that was another factor that went. So the primary one was a safe space where everyone can thrive and help each other learn and grow and all that. And then one of the other factors was to be able to create a competitive environment where people can actually start and provide opportunities for people to start making an income, even if it's not purely battling to like in a content creation sphere or anything like that.
What do you think separates PalletTownPvP from the other Discord communities out there, like PGR, like GoCast, like BTW?
Well, actually, the blunt answer is not much.
Okay.
Because BTW and PalletTownPvP are so similar in what they're trying to accomplish and what the atmosphere and the culture is like. In fact, part of the reason I was so involved in kind of the early stages of BTW as they were blossoming is because Astro and I were talking and we realized that we were both trying to build the exact same thing. And the only reason that I didn't just join in as a fully fledged admin of BTW is because I said to him that, like, look, because of the toxicity that I just had to deal with elsewhere, I'm in this headspace where I really want to be able to build something of my own that you know accomplishes these things of being this safe space that everyone can thrive in, etc., etc. But yeah, like basically anything you know about the BTW community and culture, I think applies to Pallettown.
Unfortunately, toxicity in the gaming community or toxicity within the gaming community is such a common issue, and like you said, Pokemon Go unfortunately is no different. But what measures do you have in place so that members of your community in Pallettown PvP feel welcome and safe while they're like a part of your Discord?
Yeah. At the moment, we are lucky enough that because I still think the active membership is fairly small, and most of those people are fans of GoCast, so they're kind of like fans of it feels so weird saying fans of me.
But it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. But so because of that, I don't think we've had to deal with any huge toxicity at the moment. So, and we don't have any kind of formalized process in place for dealing with it. We should, but I think that will come through kind of trial and error. If we have to deal with anything, we can kind of take a look at how it was dealt with and kind of develop processes from there.
Moving back to sort of like the creation of Pallettown PvP, what were the initial challenges that you faced creating it in general?
It's kind of like starting a business where you open it up and you've got no customers, and it's kind of like, how can you convince other people to join and become part of your community if it looks like there's nothing actually going on in the community? So, like, at first, the biggest challenge was convincing people that this was a place that was worth their time to visit and become active in. Because, like, I mean, I'm sure you're like me, where you're in like 70 Discord servers, and it's like, I don't want to join another one. So providing a reason for people to want to join was the biggest challenge.
Okay, do you find now that you are, more established, that is still like a challenge that you face is membership or new membership to the community?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. I well, one thing that I'm kind of jealous of BTW about is the fact that you guys have so many people who are actually putting up their hands and saying, I want to be part of this, and here's what I can contribute. That was actually something that that was a goal of mine as well for Pallettown as well, and so I'm still progressing in that front. We have had some people who I want to give a shout out to, Hisui and Ryan, who offered to edit battle footage down when we do streams like Gym Breakers and the Ring and stuff like that, and that has been just a godsend for me, because it used to take me literal days of work to put together those streams.
Yeah.
And he has, professional software that can get that done in a few hours. So that's been amazing. People like Mama Climbs, who contacted me to say, hey, I saw that you are looking for more streamers and I've been thinking about doing it. Can I get on board with that? And she's been fantastic for the channel and for the culture as well. So it's happening a little bit, but I would love more. Like, if you're listening to this and you're like Breaker and you're like, yeah, I want to try this thing and I've got this idea, like, come to me and we can probably make it happen.
Did any of your initial ideas or visions of what you wanted Pallettown PvP to be like get scrapped or tweaked into something else?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
Probably specifically because part of the idea of Pallettown was for it to be an adaptive thing, depending on like where PvP is at, and who wants to be able to contribute what. So like we had our core goals, which was where we call it education, entertainment, and growth. So everyone kind of helping each other learn, being able to make good, fun, entertaining content, and to grow PvP in general. That they haven't changed, and everything we've done has been with that kind of mindset.
So you had mentioned Mama Climbs as wanting to be a streamer. So I noticed that you have a very consistent Twitch presence. You have a variety of people that stream on the PalletTownPvP channel. How did the like each member sort of come about? Was it just like an open call and people volunteered for it? Did you have people in mind already?
So Mama Climbs was the only one who reached out to me. We have LilyBear26, who's actually my girlfriend, that she started streaming herself, and I was like, I mean, when Pallet Town became a thing, I was like, just come and stream on this channel, and she was on board with that. We also had T-Hubs, T Magma Tyler. He was streaming for a while, and he was someone else that I was like, yeah, just come and stream with us. Like we've got a more like ready-made audience for you. And he was doing that for a while. Then he kind of took a break and hasn't been back there yet. But yeah, he's been really cool as well.
Okay, and then you have a very interesting thing on your Twitch that I have always been curious about. You don't allow subscribers or bit donations, just direct donations. What's the reasoning behind that?
Well, long term, we would rather have our viewers watching us on YouTube than Twitch. And part of the affiliate agreement with Twitch is that they pretty much own your likeness. So anything that you stream to Twitch can't go on to any other platform for at least 24 hours, and they can do whatever they want with your likeness without your permission. So in order to be able to stream to YouTube as well as Twitch, we had to end the affiliate agreement with Twitch. And the affiliate agreement is what was enabling features like bits, channel points, subs, that kind of thing.
Right.
Also, I always felt super, super guilty when people would sub to us on Twitch because like they like us enough to hand over their money, which I am always like so blown away that someone would feel that way about what we're doing. But I felt like they weren't getting anything in return. Like I feel like, I don't know if it's like Catholic guilt or something, but like I feel like if someone's providing me with that kind of show of encouragement and support, then I want to be able to give something back to them. And in my opinion, emotes wasn't enough, especially since that money that they're fronting to support us with, half of it's going to Twitch anyway.
Right.
So that made it easy for me.
Well, before we move on to our last segment of the show, did you have anything else that you wanted to say about PalletTownPvP that we didn't cover?
It's a place that is very, very slowly growing. I can see the growth there, and every time I notice some of this growth, it makes me incredibly proud. Anytime I see someone succeeding in the community, I am incredibly proud. And I just would love to see people... I think what I would really love is for those people who get help from us to begin with, become confident enough and good enough themselves that they can then start to pass on the buck, to then help new people that come in after them. Like, that would be just amazing for me.
One thing that I really admired from you and DeFi is on one of your more recent episodes, you had taken the time to shout out members of your community that didn't hit legend but hit ace for the first time, rank 20, and I think that people forget that everybody's like accomplishment to them is important to celebrate. And I think that it was very heartwarming to hear not the typical, oh, so and so hit legend for the first time, but really amping up, so and so hit ace for the first time. Like, that is amazing. And I just want to encourage you to obviously you're going to continue to do that because that's who you are as a person, but that is something that I feel that more communities should be promoting, and that is one thing that I love about what you're doing in PalletTownPvP. So
thanks, man.
With that being said, I want to move into the segment, the game 2 truths and 1 lie part, if you are ready for it.
Yeah, let's do it.
The same rules of 2 truths and 1 lie apply. So if you don't mind, I will go first, and then you can go. So, first one is I've had all 4 cars that I've owned totaled, and I was never driving the cars when it happened. The second is my parents threw away all my Pokemon cards as a punishment when I was 11, and my collection included 3 first edition holographic Charizards.
Oof.
The third one is I was a nationally ranked junior tennis player, but had to stop playing competitively because I ironically developed severe golfer's elbow, even though I had never played golf at all until that point in my life.
Is golfer's elbow a thing?
Yes. So tennis elbow affects one side of your elbow. Golfer's elbow affects the other. Both are nerve conditions.
I've learned something new.
Yeah.
Okay, and the other 2 were your mum threw out your Pokemon card collection, including 3 holographic Charizards. And what was the first one again?
First one was I totaled 4 cars that I've owned, but I was never driving the cars when it happened.
Give me the second one again.
The second one was parents threw away my Pokemon cards as a punishment when I was 11, and in my collection I had 3 first edition holographic Charizards.
And the third again?
The third is I was a nationally ranked junior tennis player, but had to stop playing competitively because I developed severe golfer's elbow, even though I had not played golf at all up until that point.
I'm extremely interested in non-verbal communication.
You're the poker player.
In particular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. I still don't think I'm particularly good at reading it. So I was trying to pick up cues.
Yeah. So for the listeners here, he was staring very intently while he was asking me to repeat those.
So I may have picked this wrong, but I'm going to go the first one is the lie.
The total of the 4 cars? Okay.
Yeah.
That is the truth. So the lie is I was never a nationally ranked junior tennis player. So.
Gotcha.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll keep practicing.
Yes. That was hard because as soon as you said poker, I would throughout this entire interview, I think I may have been distracted a little bit because I was like, oh, I gotta keep the face really straight.
Yeah, no. I'm still so bad at it. Like I know a whole bunch of individual tells,
Yeah.
but I'm very bad. There's a concept called clustering, where like if someone like scratches their nose or something, like often people do scratch their nose when they're lying, but that doesn't mean a scratched nose is an indication of lying. Like to determine if something is a lie, you've got to see a whole bunch of different tells all at once. So they might scratch their nose and the corner of their mouth goes up, or like or twitch their head to the side or whatever. But
and I was actually very conscientiously not doing any of these bodily tells. So I'm glad it worked. I'm glad it worked. All right, let me try to read you now.
If I could see your hands, that would have made it a
lot
better.
I know, right?
So my three are: I am a massive fan of the song Baby One More Time by Britney Spears. I can speak 3 languages to enough of a proficiency that I can at least have a very basic conversation with someone from that country.
Okay.
And when I was in high school, there was a short period of time where my friends and I would spend our lunch times playing American football, and we didn't actually know the rules, so it ended up just being rugby league where we could pass forward.
So we have Hit Me Baby One More Time by Britney Spears. What are the languages?
They are French, Italian, and English.
You did mention you spent time in Italy. American football. So they ended up playing rugby. This is interesting because your face only changed on the third one. So I'm actually inclined to think that you guys were correct and you didn't know the rules. I'm going to say the languages. Number 2.
How did my face change on the third one?
You emoted more.
Yeah. I knew that as soon as I put in the extra detail of, and we didn't know the rules, so it ended up just being, I knew that would give it away as being true.
It was...
You did get it correct.
Okay,
yeah.
It is number 2.
The languages one was a lie.
Okay, do you at least know 2 languages?
I know enough Italian to be able to speak with someone.
Got you, okay. I was just like... Jeez. Oh my goodness. Okay, what was the first one again? It was
I love Baby One More Time.
Yeah. No. As soon as you heard that, I was like, I could definitely see you and Astro just jamming to that. I want to get you two like in a room doing karaoke together to that song.
That'd be amazing. If I'm ever in Florida, we're hitting up a karaoke bar.
Sure. All right, and with that, we're going to wrap up the show. A big thank you to all our Patreon supporters. If you want to support the show, you can for as little as $1 a month, which will gain you access to our Discord. The link will be in the show notes below. Special thanks to our Coach's Corner supporters, Clifford Mert, Thanks Friends 673, Eastwood, Mama Climbs, Hisui and Ryan, and Moshpit 37. Our Patreon producers, King Flip, Kittens and High Fives, Thanks Obama, and King Tom. Our Discord admins, Reyes683, Siegel, FishOnAHeater, Lyles Jeff 3, and Miami Doc. I am your executive producer, MatthewBraeker. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at BTW PvP Podcast. Follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/BTW PvP. You can email us at info@btwpvp.com. Links to our merch store, Patreon, and our friends at PalletTownPvP are going to be in the show notes below. If becoming a Patreon isn't something you can do but still want to help out the show, you can continue spreading the word. Subscribe to us on YouTube. follow our Twitch channel, or give us a review on whatever podcast platform you listen to us on. It would really help us out, and we deeply appreciate all the love and support you continue to give us. And finally, thank you all for listening to the executive edition of the BTW PvP podcast. I'm MatthewBraeker.
And I'm FishOnAHeater, and until next time, good luck and get good.